Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we have a brand new puzzle by the brilliant constructor Qodec to grapple with. I have done battle with Qodec a couple of times before on the channel, and his puzzles are always, well, they're always very difficult, but they're always beautiful as well, so we should be in for a treat. In fact, we've been so impressed with Qodec's puzzles in the past that we even asked him if he would consider contributing to our upcoming Arrow app, and I'm delighted to tell you that he agreed, and you can even see he's been practicing with this puzzle. He's put some arrows in it for us. Now the puzzle's title is 123... 9. So the digits 1 to 9, I'm not sure what that's getting at, but it's an intriguing title. And speaking of intrigue, I've got a mystery to show you. Look, watch this. This is very cool indeed. Thanks to Jonathan for sending this in. Look, I'm using Google Translate to translate some English into Hebrew. Now, if I translate the name Simon into Hebrew, it of course gives us this. Now, if I swap the translation around, swap the languages, watch this now, you get Mark. What's going on? I don't know. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me. But anyway, we thought you might be interested to see that. It freaked us out. Now, on the subject of mysteries, yesterday we released a brand new SUDOKU puzzle hunt for everybody who sponsors the channel on Patreon. It's $2 a month to do that, and we intended the hunt to be slightly more accessible than some of the hunts we've published in the past, and a mere 3 hours and 20 minutes after we published it, huge congratulations go to Cone and Tom DeVilt, who were the first correct answer. Well, they sent in the first correct answer. And then 11 minutes later, Zach Thierman sent in a correct solution. And 6 minutes after that, Jonathan J.H. Harsh sent in a correct solution. Since when, we've had about 60 more correct solutions. So it's fantastic. And the feedback so far has been stellar. And we are delighted to see that. So if you've never done a SUDOKU puzzle hunt, definitely give it a go. I can tell you also that if you go over to the fan Discord server, and there's a link to that under this video, there's a whole channel in the Discord server dedicated to solving the hunt. So you can pick up some tips there. Now, also on Patreon, we've got my solve of Phistomefel Yin-Yang Fillomino puzzle. Now that is an interesting puzzle, and it is also terrifyingly difficult. It took me a very long time to solve it, but I did enjoy it because it's just a fascinating puzzle. So if you really like very difficult logic problems, do have a look at that puzzle, and if you get stuck, maybe the video could help you. Now let's get back to Qodec. What do we have to do in this one? I will read you the rules. We have got normal SUDOKU rules apply. Clues outside the grid give the sum of the digits along their indicated diagonal, and digits may repeat along a diagonal. So that means, let's look at that diagonal there. Those 6 cells along that arrow have to sum up to 21, and you can repeat a digit. Obviously, those 2 squares can't repeat. They would be in the same box of the SUDOKU, which is most certainly against the rules. But those 2 cells could both be 1. Those ones don't see each other under the rules of SUDOKU, and the fact that they're both on a diagonal is of no concern. That is allowed under the so-called little killer rules. Now, within the grid, digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in its circle, and digits may repeat along an arrow. So you can see we've got 4 arrow clues. So let's fill some of these in. Well, I would do if I wasn't misclicking. Let's put 1, 2 and 4 on this arrow. That would mean this square here would have to contain a 7, because 1 plus 2 plus 4 is indeed 7. There is a knowledge bomb for you from Cracking the Cryptic. And you can repeat digits along the arrow. So I'm just looking at this now. So those 2 squares could be the same. So in fact, this cell here could be very small indeed. Now, do have a go. The way to play, of course, as always on Cracking the Cryptic, is that you can click the link under the video. That will take you to a page that looks identical to this one, and you can play on whichever device takes your fancy. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And in fact, doing the example on those arrow clues has made me realise that these, in fact, are probably not the place to start, because they can be as low as 4. these ones are even worse. They could be 3 in the circles because you could just put 1 and 2 on the arrows. So I think we're going to have to look at the little killer clues. I mean, to be honest, it is pretty remarkable that this is not many clues that apparently lead to a unique solution. We get used to sort of solving minimalist puzzles on the channel, but this one looks especially... well, it looks especially difficult, as well as the fact that all of the little killer clues, at least at first blush, are not very interesting. Yeah, I mean, individually, I can't see anything. 31 in 5 cells. I mean, it's only just averaging a smidge over 6, so I suspect we have to combine them somehow. Oh, actually, I've just had one frivolous thought. I just mentioned this. I can't use it yet, but I've just noticed that, look, these arrows are very much overlapping with a Phistomefel ring, aren't they? I mean, admittedly, not all of the cells on the arrows are, but a lot of them are, and the Phistomefel ring would tell us that this ring of digits here is identical to the 2x2s in the corners. So that might be something we're intended to use at some point. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Anyway, let's have a look at the little killers. What can we do? We should highlight some of them. Let's highlight that one, that one, that one. Oh, let's go the whole hog. We'll highlight all of them. Why not? Now, there's certainly something that is immediately apparent to me there, which is that, well, 2 things. Firstly, none of those little killer clues overlapped with each other, which is very suspect. Secondly, 3 things. Secondly, none of them overlapped with an arrow at all. You can see the arrow, in fact, I'll just highlight the cells. The arrows are still sort of sticking out. Thirdly, an awful lot of the real estate in boxes 2, 4, 8 and 6 is taken up by that highlighting. So I wonder whether what we're meant to do here is to somehow work the purple cells back into these boxes. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, that's because of a secret that I know. And that secret is to do with the sum of the digits that would appear in any complete box of a Sudoku. So if we looked at the finished solution to this puzzle and wondered about this box and asked what it contained, it would contain all of the digits from 1 to 9, exactly once each, obviously. That's the rules of Sudoku. Well, if you add up the digits 1 to 9, you get the number 45. Now, that means that those 4 boxes of the Sudoku add up to 180. So let's just add the purples up and see what they get to. So 41, 56, 57, 87, 123. 123. So, right. So that's telling me, I think, that the purple cells in general are relatively low, because if we know that these boxes sum to 180 but the purples only add up to 123, I'm going to need these arrows to do some work indeed in order to get us up to 180. Especially as, obviously, these 2 squares and this square and these 2 squares and this square are not within the 180 total. So they need to be deducted out of the 123 before we start to think about how to get to 180. So let's see if we got some sort of maximums thing going on here. I'm going to put 9 in all the arrows. Which, yeah, this is right. Okay, so let's think about the maths now. So we've got, in the purples, we've got 123. If I go for 9s in all of the arrows, effectively I have to add 72 onto that 123. Now why is that? Well, obviously these 4 squares individually add up to 36, but also those 2 squares sum to 9. These 3 squares sum to 9, those sum to 9, and those sum to 9. So effectively we have to double count the numbers that appear in the circles. So I've got 123 plus 72, 195. Yeah, this is very close to being no degrees of freedom, isn't it? Because now I know that the purples plus the greens max out at 195. That is the absolute maximum that those cells can add up to. But I know that the boxes add up to 180 for sure. So in order to convert the greens and the purples into the thing that equals 180, I have to deduct out this square, 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 and this square. All of these squares need to be removed from my maximum of 195 to get to 180. Now, yeah, I see what's going on. This is really clever. It's really clever. And what I like about it is it's doable as well. So Mark and I have both faced puzzles in recent weeks where the entry has been utterly baffling. I mean, there's nothing, both involve sort of obscure set related stuff, where there was nothing in the puzzle to sort of tell you which set to look for. So it was a game of chance, really. Whereas here what Qodec has done is it's quite complicated, but it's really well signalled. The way these little killers don't overlap and then don't overlap with the arrows, and how dense the shading they give in boxes 2, 4, 6 and 8 is really clever. It suggests that this is the break-in. I'm going to feel like a fool now if it's not, but I think it is, because these squares, the minimum I can make those would be 1, 2 and 3. Let's put 1, 2, 3 in these. Now that means those squares there add up to a minimum of 12. 6 here, 6 here. So my 195 has now become 183, and I've still got these 2 squares to deduct out. Now, look at this. Can these squares both be 1? The answer is no. They cannot both be 1 without destroying the maths of the Sudoku. Because if I try and make both of these squares 1, I now can't put 1 in any of those positions. And if I can't put 1 in any of those positions, the minimum value of these 3 squares here is then 9. 2 plus 3 plus 4. 9 here is 18. So 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 minus 190, what was it, 195? Is less than 180. So that would be suggesting that these 4 boxes of the Sudoku can add up to less than 180. And let me tell you, they can't. So there must be the possibility to put 1 in one of these. And therefore you can't make both of these 1. And if you can't make both of these 1, the best you'll do is a 1 and a 2. And now we have a perfect relationship. We have got 183 minus 3, which is the 180 we need. So I think that this is forced, basically. So let's just go through it once more. We had 123 in the purples. Oh, but I've destroyed the purples. Sorry. We had 123. Well, we had 195 in the purples, the greens, and the oranges. That's what we had. And we know that these 4 boxes are 180. Now, we could, of course, have put lower digits in the 9s. But if we'd done that, we would have given ourselves an impossible problem. Because we know that these squares here have a minimum value of 12. And these have a minimum value of 3. So together, we cannot make this set of digits add up to less than 15. So if we make the arrows add up to anything less than 72, we're breaking the puzzle again, because again we're implying that these squares here have to add up to our less than 180. So this is right, this is forced, and it's very clever, and hopefully it will now lead to a swift solve of the puzzle. And I'm only joking. I'm sure it won't. What does it mean? Right, I've got one thing it means. I know that this is a 1-2 pair. Oh, hang on. Let us stop and revisit the title of the puzzle, which is 123.9. Is that because of this? Because that is a bit redolent of what we have on the grid at the moment. We have 1s, 2s, and 3s, and some 9s. Maybe Qodec will comment and let us know, but that would seem to suggest we're on the right path. But going back to these are a 1-2 pair. Now, if these are a 1-2 pair, they see this square. This square cannot be a 1 or a 2. This square cannot be a 1 or a 2. So those two squares have to both be 3s, which means those squares are not 3s. Now we've got 1-2 pairs everywhere. And we've got, right, the 9 clue here now has a 3 on the arrow, so those squares have to add up to 6. So they're 1, 2, 4, 5 in some order. Same must be true on this side. There's a symmetry going on there. So this is either a 1-5 combination or a 2-4 combination. I'm not sure whether I need the highlighting anymore. I might leave it in because it's quite pretty, but I don't think it's going to do me any favours regarding the solve now because we've done the geometry. We've got an 11 little killer clue here with a 1, 2 on that diagonal. So that means those two squares must add up to 8 because these will add up to 3. No, that's useless. 20 here. No, I don't think that's useful. 15. We've got 3. So those two squares. See, this is where the highlighting is going to get tricky. I am going to get rid of it actually because I can't double click and show you what I want to show you. Right, let's look here. We've got 3 on this diagonal at the moment. So those two squares have got to add up to 12 without using 9. So this is either 4, 8 or 5, 7. 21 diagonal. 21 in 6 cells. So we're averaging 3.5. Not sure about that. 31 diagonal. We've got. This is where I should have started. Look, 31. Yes, and I can't use 9s. So how on earth are we going to make this work? Even if I max these 4 squares out with 7, 8 pairs, that only gets you to 30, plus this square would be 31 or 32. So there is 1 degree of freedom on this diagonal. I can increase one of these squares, I could decrease one of these squares by 1. So if this wasn't 7, 8, it would have to be 6, 8. And if this wasn't 7, 8, it would have to be 6, 8. But if I do use a 6 in any one of those squares, the rest of them have to be maxed. Or this could be a 2. No, this could be a 1, and this would be a 7, 8, 7, 8. So there's always 8s in these sort of duo. Well, this combination of cells must have an 8 in it. This combination of cells must have an 8 in it. Because if not, imagine that was a 6, 7 pair. 6 plus 7 plus 2 is only 15. That would mean those two had to add up to 16. You can't do that without using a 9. So there's definitely an 8 in one of these. Maybe that then maybe what we have to do is sort of keep going round the ring like a Catherine wheel here. So now I can't put 8 on this diagonal. Which means I can't put 7 and 6 into this diagonal as well, because that will break this. I can put 1 of 7 and 6. So the maximum I can put on this diagonal is 7. I can't put 5 and 4 in either because that will break the 6 I need there. So I can go 7, 5, 3, I think, in some order as a maximum, which is 15, which means these are a minimum of 10. And that, of course, is bobbins worthy because that is useless. Oh dear. I've got a 1-2 pair in this column, right? That's a bit interesting. If this is a 4 or a 5, that means that this is the 1 or the 2. So we got the same thing. Yes, we have. We've got the 1-2 pair in this column. So this is a 4 or a 5. So this is a 1 or a 2. So I've now got 1-2 pairs in columns 2 and 8 as well. And a 4-5 pair in row 5. But the terrifying thing is that I've basically used, or thought about at least, all of the little killers, and I didn't really get anything. This 25, this 20, and this 21. I'm not interested in the fact I can't put 8 in those 3 squares. I've never had any intention of putting 8 in those 3 squares. This diagonal needs to be low, not high. Oh dear. Oh, sorry. Look, I can do SUDOKU. I mean, it's going to be a useless digit, but I can put 9 there by SUDOKU. This 9 obviously doesn't see anything else to actually get me any further. The only 9s now left are in these squares, and this 9 doesn't really help with that. Okay. What do we do? What do we do? Maybe I'll pencil mark these 9s. So, well, I suppose the top square here can't be 1, 2, or 3. So this square has got to be 4, 5, 6, or 7 because it can't be 8 because we've got the 8 is in one of those squares, which means this square is 4, 5, 2, or 3. That's not what I was hoping for. I'm not surprised, to be honest, because 9 has so many different ways of being generated in 2 cells. This is exactly the same at the top, isn't it? It's identical logic. 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Oh dear. I'm really not seeing anything here. Do we have to colour the 1s and 2s? Is that what we have to do? I haven't got. I'm going to just try this. This is a move of desperation, to be honest, because I have no clue what we have to do here. That's purple. That's going to be green. That's green. That one is purple. Right, let's take a look at this. Do we get anything? We do. Okay. This was a good idea. Look, greens. Where does the 1 and 2 go in this box? These greens are all green. Another strange sentence, but that means that that's got to be green. It's the only place a green can go in box 6. Oh, look. Yeah, this is lovely. This is lovely. So now we get the green in box 8. 8 as well. 1, 2 here, 1, 2 here. That's got to be green. That places the green in box 5. It has to go here. Green has to be in this domino in box 2. And the same. So we get a domino in box 1 as well. So maybe the greens have run out of potency there. Right, let's look at purples. Can we do anything with purples? We can. Maybe we can. Oh, yes, we can. Purple in this box is restricted. This, and this, I think, are plonking a purple in there. Green. Oh no. I was about to say something sensible, and then it's not sensible at all. There's definitely something going on in this box, though, regarding 3 and purple. Because where do 3 and purple go in this box? Another strange sentence, but look, purple is not green. That's how we've defined purple, in fact. So purple can only go, looking at the options, in this domino. But the same is true of 3, I think. 3 can't go there, it can't go there, it can't go there. So this is a 3 purple combination. So there must be a 3 in those squares, and there must be a purple in those squares. Oh, I suppose, sorry, the simple way of thinking about this then is that these 3 squares are a 1, 2, 3 triple, because obviously purples, greens, and the number 3 together form a 1, 2, 3 triple. So these squares are oh, whoopsie, I didn't mean to do that. What I want to do is put 1, 2, and 3 in here. Which, that does therefore give me a purple in the corner. There, that has to be purple by Sudoku. Three. This is 1, 2, or 3 now. So this square can no longer be 4 or 5. We've now got a 6, 7, 8 triple in box 8. So this can't be 7 or 8. And we've got 4, 5 must go into this square. So we've now generated a 4, 5 pair in column 4. This is 6 or 7. Why couldn't... Oh, that can't be 8 because the 8 must be in one of those 2 squares. So if this can't be 8, that can't be 1. Does that mean anything to anybody? I'm not sure it means much to me. This is 4 or 5 now. That's on the 15 diagonal. Everything is interrelated here. I mean, it's fascinating and incredibly clever, but not easy. So if this has to be 4, 5, and these 2 squares together add up to 12, that's not 4, 5. So this one becomes 7 or 8. Green. This 11 diagonals now. I think when I last looked at this, I had those 2 only. Somehow I've got a green here. Oh, by Sudoku. So if green is 1, purple will be 2. These squares will add up to 4, and this would have to be a 7. If green is 2, this would be a 1. Then that would have to be a 6 to get us up to 11. So this square is a 6 or a 7. We can do a bit of trickery to get purple in the middle box now. Purple, purple. So this domino is a purple domino. I don't really want to highlight that because it's going to override my green domino. But there's a purple in one of those, and there's a purple in one of those in box 8. So what we can say for sure is that there is no purple in those 3 squares and no purple in those 3 squares. But there needs to be a purple in column 6. Well, it can't be in those 2 by Sudoku, so that square must be purple. Okay. 3 by Sudoku. 3 is not purple. And therefore, where does 3 go in box 9? It goes here. Which places 3 in box 6. Here we go. Come on. Keep going. Oh, Bobbins. It's not going at all. It's just died a death. 3 is on the 25 diagonal now. So the minimum value of these 3 squares would be 3, 4, 6, I think, because we couldn't do 3, 4, 5 without breaking this square. So 3, 4, 6 is 13. So these have to be a maximum of 12. That's nothing going on, is there? We've got 2 digits now on the 20 diagonal, but again, these 3 squares I don't think are particularly restricted. The 21 diagonal, these 3 squares, we've got something similar going on over here that was going on over there. I can't use 3, 4, 5 in this triple because that would break this square. So this is 3, 4, 6 minimum. Ah, this one might be the one to look at. 3, 4 and 6 is 13. So these have a maximum size of 8. Which is have a maximum size of 8. What colour is that? That's green. So if this is 3, that has to be 1. Ah, right, okay, that's vicious. This is very difficult, but I have found something. This square, yeah, this square can't be 3. And the reason is complicated, but it's to do with this diagonal. Remember, this diagonal has 1 degree of freedom on it. So I can't reduce any 2 of these squares by 1. That's going to be too many. I can only reduce exactly 1 of these squares by 1. Well, if this is 3, we know these have a maximum size of 8. So this square has to be 1 because this is a 4 or a 5. So this would have to be 1. 1 is green. So whoops, I've just lost my degree of freedom. I've made this square a 1. Now I need 7, 8, 7, 8 in these 4 squares. But look, this 3 is forcing this square to be a 2 and this to be, yep, a 7. So this becomes a 6, 8 pair accompanying the 1. 6 plus 8 plus 1 is 15. Those 2 squares need to use a 9, which they can't use. They have to add up to 16. So that is quite hard, but this square can't be a 3. Now if it can't be a 3, we are going to know where the 3 goes. It goes here. And I'm going to come and look at these squares again now because this diagonal is clearly, I think, the most restricted. The 3 gives us this square as a 6. We know that 3 plus 6 equals 9. That's a knowledge bomb for you. That's not 6, so that's not 3. Those 2 now are a 7, 8 pair. So the value of these 3 squares now is either 7 or 8. That's the only options. So the value for these squares is either 14 or 13. But I think there are a few ways we can do that. Look, do we always have to have a 3? Presumably we do. Yes, we do, because we can't use... Yeah, we do, because if we don't use a 3, the best we could make these 3 be would be 4, 6 and 7, which adds up to too many. So there's definitely a 3 in one of those 2 positions. These squares, they could be 3, 4, 6 adding to 13, 3, 4, 7 adding to 14, 3, 5, oh, bobbins, no, this is no good. I was hoping I could get like a quadruple using this square, but I don't think I can. These have too many options. That can't be 3 still. Good grief. Okay, right. So I don't know what we do now. We've got a 1, 2, 4, 5 quadruple in row 5. That square can't be a 4 or a 5. 6, 7. So we need 3, 6, 7, 8. This has got to be 3, 6, 7 or 8. This square here has got to... that one's only got... that's a 6 or a 7. This square is more restrictive because we need to put 3, 6, 7 and 8 into those squares, given the 1, 2, 4, 5 quadruple in the row. But this square sees 3 and it sees 8, which must be in one of those. So this can only be 6 or 7. And I've noticed now we've got a 6, 7, 8 triple in box 6. So this square must be 4 or 5. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in this column. So these squares are 6, 7 and 8. Good. Does this mean anything? Oh, look, I've got a 1, 2 pair here. That can't be a 2. That's nice. That means this can't be a 7. This is a 4, 5 pair, which is absolutely useless. Is it useless, or can we do something with that? Nope, I think it's useless. Oh, goodness me. This is not straightforward. That shouldn't be in purple anymore. He says buying for time. Where's my purple in this box? I know where it goes. Look, purple, 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 purple. That is purple. That gives me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quintuple in this column. So those can be 6, 7 or 8. I've got lots of 6, 7s and 8s everywhere. In particular, row 6, I've got 6, 7 and 8. That square can't be 6 or 7 therefore. That's 4 or 5. This square must be the same. That's 4 or 5. This 6, 7, 8 led to this being a 4 or 5. Now look at this column. I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quintuple in this column. That allows me to put more 6, 7s and 8s in the grid. I've now got a 6, 7, 8 triple there and here. Good Lord. So these are 4, 5 or 9 to complete this row, given this 6, 7, 8 triple. I've got a horrible feeling I'm going to have to colour the 6, 7s and 8s, aren't I? Let's try not to do that for fear of going colourblind. 7, 8. Okay. What do we do now? Does anyone know? Here's something interesting. Look at this column. I've got a 4, 5 pair and I don't know where 3 goes. I was about to hope to conclude this was a 6, 7 or 8. But I've actually noticed I can lock 3. I've got a 3 green combo here. This 3 is locking a 3 into the same positions as the greens. So it's the same logic. I should have done it. Oh, I'm so silly. Sorry. The symmetry of this purple 3 here is repeated at the top of the grid with the green 3 here. So this is a green 3 combination, which means it's from the digits 1, 2 and 3. Now, this does allow me to think about this square in the context of Sudoku. It's got to be another of these 6, 7 and 8s. And that is interesting because now I have a 6, 7, 8 triple in this box, which means this square can't be 6, 7 or 8. And that is a 3. That means... remember there had to be a 3 on this diagonal according to my pencil marks. So that is therefore there now. I've got a 6, 7 pair in this row. That means this square becomes an 8. I do not know how these constructors make these sorts of puzzles. It's just ridiculously complicated. Imagine trying to come up with this. I mean, This is a 4-5 pair now, just it's forced. I've now got a 4-5 pair here, so this becomes a 6-7 or an 8, of course. What else would it be? I've got 6, 7s and 8s everywhere. 4-5 pair here, so this, look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's a 6. Cancel. I think I just pressed an F button then that almost tried to delete the puzzle. That would be bad. Now what? How long have I had? 40 minutes. Gosh, that's flown by. Okay, have I learned anything new about the diagonals? I think that's what I'm going to have to check. This one's the same as it was. This one is the same as it was. This one is the same as it was. This one... Well, if these are double 1, these would have to add to 18, which is more than... Well, it would need 8s and 7s, but it's possible. If these are double 2, I'd need 16, which is possible in all sorts of ways. So that's... I don't think this one is the key to the puzzle. I'm going to have to colour these 6, 7s and 8s, aren't I? I think that's what I'm being led towards. Hang on, that can't be a 6. Maybe more Sudoku first. This can't be a 6, therefore. So there's a 6 in one of those two cells, a 6 in one of these two cells. Right, what's going on? There's a mildly interesting point regarding 6s and 7s, actually, on these two diagonals, because they both use the same combination. So in fact, that digit and that digit are the same, I think. Let me just double check this. If you look at this diagonal, I've definitely got 15 there. I've definitely got 8 here. So that's 23. So these two squares I have to add up to 8. Now that's a green 1, 2 and a 6, 7. But this diagonal is the same. Look, I've got 3 here. So these two squares are also a green 1 or 2 and a 6 or a 7, adding up to 8. So this digit and this digit are the same digit. Now that's going to be magnificent if it does. That means that the red, whatever this is, has to appear, look, in this domino in box 3, in this domino in box 9. Ah, it could be that cell. Bobbins. If it couldn't be that cell, it would be here. Hang on, doesn't that mean that has to be the same digit? Look at what's going on in box 5. This square can't be red, so red has to be in those two squares. Now that means this square is the only option for red in box 4. So we've now reached the conclusion that this square, and this square are all the same. Problem with that is I'm not exactly sure what that means, if anything. Sorry, so I'm trying to spot what it means. I can't see anything. These red 7, a 7, Right, okay. Well, I think this was all, well, serendipitously enough, a red herring. I don't think actually, I think these squares are all the same, but I don't think that's the key to the next step, because I think what we have to do is think about this cell and just simply ask the question, can this be a 7? And the answer is no, because of the 15 diagonal. So if this is 7, now look at this diagonal. How are we going to complete it? We've got 10, 13 on it so far. So these two squares have to be double 4. This square therefore is a 5. This square is an 8. 5 and 8 plus 3 is 16. It's too many. So if you make this 7, you increase both of these from their minimums by 1. And that again breaks the puzzle. It's similar logic to what we had to do down there somewhere. This can't be 7. This has to be 6. And red is therefore 6, so I might as well take advantage of my colouring. That makes that square a 7 by Sudoku. And that means... sorry, those double 4s might be wrong. We don't know... Well, in fact, they are going to be wrong because... Yeah, these have to now add up to 9. Oh, maybe I have to colour the 4s and the 5s, do I? Ah! Is that what I have to do? It might be. Oh, although, hang on. This being a 6 is interesting. Because now I know... Yeah, I know what green is. Because these add up to 3. 3 plus 6 is 9. This must be a 2, which means green is 2. And that... is a breakthrough. Yes, green is 2, and therefore purple is 1. Bom, 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 bom. Nori, nori. And that means 1 is not there. This is a 2-3 pair. Have I done all the 1s? Yes, I've done all the 1s. I haven't done all the 2s. There's a 2 in one of those squares. Okay, that can't be a 6. It still doesn't crack, does it? It really doesn't. It doesn't want to give away its secrets to me. Come on, that's not a 6. Am I being really slow here or something? Is there some obvious way of just filling in the rest of the digits somehow? That can't be a 6. Let's get rid of all of the pencil marks around that topic. Oh, I know what. Yes, there is. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I was being slow. Look, the 9s. Once you get these 2s and 1s figured out, these squares are suddenly known because I've got to make these. I had to make those add up to 6. So this now must be a 5. That's a 4. That's a 4. That's a 5. That's going to tidy up some stuff in the middle of the grid. Ah, look, the 4s and the 5s are starting to move now. Come on, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, now I come back to this diagonal. These had to add to 9, so that must be a 4. Let me just double check that. 9 and 9 is 18, 21. Yes, this is a 4, this is a 5. There's no 5 here, therefore. This 5 is on the 15 diagonal, so that means I've got 8. And this must be a 7. That's an 8 by Sudoku. That must be an 8. That's a 7 and that's a 6. This must be a 7. This must be an 8. This is an 8. This is a 7. Keep going. Keep going. This is not 8 anymore. Right, now let's have another... Oh, yeah, look. I've nearly done this diagonal. So the 20 diagonal, I've at the moment, I've got 17 on it, so that must be a 3. 2, that gives me a 2 there. You're looking at my pencil markings. A 3 here by Sudoku. This is not 7. This diagonal has been done. sort of went under the radar, but what have we got on it now? We've got 14 here, so these need to add to 11, and they do. So it does look like we're slowly but surely getting to a correct solution here. In fact, I've done all the arrows, and I've done all the little killers, so it's just a Sudoku puzzle now, of all things. Who would have thought? How do we finish this off? What do we need along here? We need 5, 7, and 8. So 7 can only go there. These two squares look like they're a 5, 8 pair. Whoa, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to put 5 and 8 in. 7 can only go in one place in row 3 now. It's here. That means those two squares are 4 and something. 4 and 6. Let's have a look at this column now. That looks pretty congested. 4, 5, and 9. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, so where does... Look, this is a 4, 5, 9 into those 3 squares, but there's a 4, 9 pair here. So this must be 5. This must be 8. This must be 5. This must be 4 or 9 to complete that column. This square must be a 6 or a 7 by Sudoku, and it can't be 7. So that's 6, that's 7, that's 6, that's 8, that's 7. This becomes a 6, 8 pair. That finishes the 4, gives us the 6. This should be something... in fact, the 9 is done now. Let's do that. 9 and 4 go into the grid. This square here is a 5. Let's double check. That looks right. The 6 fixes the 6 and the 8. This is an 8, 9 pair, which I can do. This is a 4, 5 pair, which I can do. What a puzzle. It's crazy to me that this exists. And that's a 4. And I have finished it, I hope. Yes. Wow. Wow. Another 50-minute monster. And that puzzle is incredibly clever because the break-in isn't that easy. But from there, I thought it might just... be fairly straightforward. It is anything but. Everything is a battle. There was some bits where I was slow, and I felt I could have got the logic more quickly. But there were other points which were just really difficult. That 3 I was pleased with, and that was hard. And there was something over there that I did that was hard as well. So let me know in the comments. I fear I may have missed a way of getting through this with slightly more aplomb. But, Qodec, whenever you get to the end of a Qodec puzzle and the thing says you've done it correctly, you should give yourself a small pat on the back. So, well done, me. And, we'll be back later for another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.